What is going on, everybody? It is your observer lineman Uche Waneri.
Hello.
Stream, and I got my man here, Darkseid himself.
Hello.
Or Darkseid. No, Ray Porter here. Ray Porter, great voice actor, who is got quite a bit of layers to him that go beyond just Darkseid. You know, us in the Snyderverse, we will always look at you and say, for Darkseid.
And I will always be proud of that.
Awesome.
Proud of that.
But how you doing, man? How you doing?
You know, I'm good. I'm watching this troubling news. It just popped up on my news feed about this terrible industrial fire down in Compton. And there's a lot of houses around there. And so I'm really hoping that people are, out there with hoses wetting their roofs and stuff like that and staying safe. I mean, it's disturbing, especially something in a neighborhood like that.
Industrial, huh? So that's
like pallet. It's like a pallet yard.
Yeah,
apparently
a lot of wood and stuff.
But it's very hot and it's very big, and they're like, they're doing their best to knock it down. But I'm looking, the aerial shot. There's houses like next to it.
Oh
wow! Oh God, I hope it doesn't. Pallets, fine. Somebody's home, not good. So bit of concern. Otherwise, all right. Okay. I think we had spring for about 25 minutes here in LA this morning because it's up to around 90 now.
What?
Yeah, it got up to high 80s, 90s, something like that. I'm in Pasadena, so it's always a little bit warmer anyway. But yeah, it's like, wow, spring was nice. Okay, summertime now.
Wow.
Yeah, but I'm good otherwise.
It's crazy. I'm here in Atlanta, and I mean, it was cold today.
I heard the South got like serious,
we had crazy rain yesterday.
Right.
Crazy rain like the past couple of days, I think.
Amazing.
But it's kind of chilled. It chilled out. The weather early in the week was like mid 70s, but then like Tuesday, like Monday night, it started kind of chilling a little bit. Tuesday, it was gray, and then and last night it was raining a ton. And now today's been raining. It's been raining all day today.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
That's crazy that it's 90 degrees, approaching 90 already in
LA. Yeah, like
LA. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm not a hot weather guy. So
I mean, I'm not necessarily a hot weather guy just because every time I walk outside and it's any warmer than like 72 degrees, 73 degrees, I just start sweating just because I'm a big dude. Yeah. It's just like instant sweat wherever I go.
Exactly.
So I just
and you also you know something of running around doing energetic things while wearing many, many, many layers of stuff.
Yeah. And that's another reason why I sweat instantly. It's because my body's just trained.
Doing Shakespeare is the same thing. It's like, hey, big sword fight in armor, and it's 112 degrees. Okay, and it's like, yeah, no thanks.
Tell me about the theater days, man.
Well,
what was it? Where did you? Okay, let's do it like this. Where did you start? Like, how did you where was your inspiration to be in theater? Because I'm interested to hear about this.
It was always kind of the family business. My mother was on Broadway, dancer, singer, all sorts, and her father was with the circus originally, and then also did publicity advance work for touring shows, and we're talking like from the 30s up through the 60s all around America. So theater and like show business was always kind of just in the woodwork, of my family. It was just always kind of there.
Yeah.
And I grew up in a small town in Indiana, but it was just always kind of there. And I was like, well, you get to, the deal. You get to like junior or senior in high school and people are like, the decisions you make now will affect you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I wish I could
all the speeches.
I wish I could go back and smack every one of them. But anyway, I was like, well, I should do something, different. And I went and I saw a production of Heartbreak House by George Bernard Shaw. At a theater, and I don't know, I can't explain to this day. There's something about that particular production that I walked out and I was like, yeah, I want to do this. I want to be an actor. I mean, I had been in shows, in plays and stuff in school and, in the local theater, and I'd done drama, different, summer experiences and that sort of thing. But, there was never really an idea of like, this is going to be my job. And,
Yeah.
it's like, well, I am an actor, so I'm going to go find a job, kind of thing. And I was like, no, I think I'm going to commit to this. So I did. I went to the California Institute of the Arts here in LA area. And I graduated with a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in acting.
Oh, nice.
Employable.
Employable.
But about 9 months after I was out of school and I'm here in LA and like just trying to start life and my career and, I got an offer from the Oregon Shakespeare Festival in Ashland, Oregon. I got an offer of a 6-month contract. And I wasn't going to take it because something happens to you when you're an actor in LA where you think, if I leave town, that's when the big break is going to happen and I'll miss it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I really had, back then anyway, that's the way I thought. And I really had misgivings about it. So I told everybody, look, I'll be back in 6 months. 6 months, I'll be back. And that was in 1990. And my last season in Ashland was 2008. So that's a long 6 months.
Yeah.
No, I got up there and, they had an off season. It was either a 6-month or a 10-month contract. And then you had downtime, and I would come down to LA in the downtime, and I started to work in TV and film and that sort of thing. But okay, it's a beautiful place. The air is clean. You can drink the tap water. It's good. And there's nothing in it. It's absolutely breathtakingly beautiful, heart-achingly beautiful every day. And you get to do some of the best theater that there is, day in, day out. It's a repertory company. So they were doing 11 plays in 4 theaters. So what that meant was you'd have a matinee in the afternoon of one show. You'd go to the outdoor theater, the big 1,200 seater outside, and do a show that night. And then maybe the next day you'd have a matinee in the third show you were cast in. So you were always cast in at least 2 different plays, different roles, Yeah. And so, there was one season where I would have a matinee playing both of the Antipholus twins in Comedy of Errors, then go outside and do Kent in King Lear, and then turn around on the following night and playing Edward in Henry VI Part 1. So, it was incredible, right? It's this feast of theater, and you're with some of the best actors ever.
So I was just wondering that. I was going to say, what kind of like talent do you see on a circuit like that? Like people from all over the world, right?
People from everywhere, pretty much. For a period of time in regional theater, and that's kind of what it was. Initially there was basically just Broadway and then Broadway touring things, and all of that.
Gotcha.
But then regional theaters began to crop up in the 70s and the 80s. And you had, American Conservatory Theater in San Francisco and Seattle Repertory Theater. The Oregon Shakespeare Festival had been around since 1935, doing Shakespeare every summer. And that was another thing that really hit me when I got there. I met a woman who was a grandmother who was bringing her grandchildren to see plays, and her grandmother had brought her to see plays there. And I realized that I was a part of something bigger and that there was a real continuity. It was a great, great thing to grow up as an actor in that environment. It was really wonderful.
So it's kind of like, I kind of try to picture things,
sure,
in kind of how with football you have like regional combines, which happen, which happen kind of separate from like your pro days and your NFL combine. So you'll have people who will get selected to go to the regional combine. You'll have people who they ask to come work out at pro days, and then you have people who they ask to be involved in the combine itself.
It's a little like that. It's funny. There's never, it certainly doesn't feel like, it's not like you're playing in the minors, to use a baseball imagery, in regional theater. And I got the scars to prove it. You work really, really hard. And there's this funny thing in America, and it is very much an American thing where, oh, you're an actor. Well, I don't know who you are. I don't know your face and your name, so you must not be a professional. And it's like, Yes, I am. Well, were you on Broadway? No, but I've put food on the table since 1989 as an actor.
Ooh,
I'd say I'm a
professional.
professional. You know what I mean? And,
Yeah.
that's the deals. What people don't realize is that there are vast amounts of incredibly brilliant, talented, wonderful actors that you have never heard of.
Yeah, for sure.
I bet you heard them in a video game, or maybe you saw them in something, or whatever, but you don't know them instantly the way that you do, stars and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I must say, to this fandom's credit, I never got that very much when it became apparent I was playing this role in this movie. Nobody was ever like, well, who the F is this guy? They should have picked somebody I would have heard of, and there never was, there was a little of it, but not a lot.
I remember the first tweets when people were asking, "Hey, are you Darkseid? Are you Darkseid?"
And I couldn't
you couldn't really answer it, but you couldn't answer it. But
I did kind of get right over to the line.
Yeah, you crept up to it.
I did.
Now I know for me, when it comes to like voice acting,
like
I feel like there are like voices in the voice acting world that, at least for me growing up in the 90s, like for cartoons and stuff, there are voices that I heard in different cartoons that were the same voices that I would always pick up on immediately.
Yeah.
So I may not have known the name, but if I would have heard the voice, I would have immediately, like, my head would have turned. Like,
and here's a funny thing with a lot of those voice actors, an actor like Frank Welker, who once voiced Darkseid, in addition to about 1 billion other things. The thing about those voice actors is, like, yes, you identify their voices in some things. There's probably 50 or 60 other things that you didn't readily identify their voice that they also did. I mean, these people are gymnasts. It's incredible what they can do. It's fascinating.
It's like, I realized that Bob's Burgers, the guy who voices the dad in Bob's Burgers also voices Archer in the TV show.
Exactly.
Like, I picked up on that voice instantly. I was like, Archer.
Yep, exactly.
So what would you say? Like, I know with aside from Justice League, like, what would you say was like was a memorable, like, one of those moments when you're like, it's kind of like your welcome to the big leagues moment. You know what I mean? Like,
almost famous.
Okay. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice,
almost famous. Growing up as I did in the time that I did, to be living that dream of, running away on the road with a rock band, but also to be in a big giant movie and to have it happening all at the same time.
Yeah.
It was incredible. And I can't say enough about Cameron Crowe. I've always been a fan of his work, but as a director and to work for him was an absolute privilege. And it's the other movie that I was in with Billy Crudup.
He's in Billy Crudup. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, hey, we didn't get to interact on this one. That was an amazing and incredible experience for me. It was the first, like, major, huge, big budget film that I'd been involved in. So, that's a learning curve.
Yeah, sure.
But in the end, it's the same. When it's your time to, act, you do the best you can.
Yeah.
But it was a great, brilliant experience. It really was. I loved it.
One of those, just it was like just that landmark moment where you kind of like for me, like, getting into the NFL,
right?
I remember my first preseason game. Like, I don't remember my first game, like, as a starter. Like, I don't remember that one. I remember the first preseason game.
Yes.
From my rookie year. This is my first time playing against anybody, playing against another team. And, walking out of the tunnel we played the Miami Dolphins, and walked out of the tunnel, and, like, it was the preseason, but it was still a pretty solid crowd. So it was like,
that's your first,
the NFL.
Yeah, that's your first taste.
Yeah,
the very first time I walked out on stage at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival and actually walked up through a tunnel to get to the stage, and it's still daylight out, so you can see all of the audience and you can feel them. You feel the force of
that energy,
and it was like, Oh, this is what I'm doing. I mean, I'd done plays before. This was different gravy. And I mean, probably you can describe moments in your very first season like I can with great detail and real specific. And then after that, it all sort of runs together a little bit,
Yeah, yeah. My like the middle years of my
season.
career are like blurs. It's
Me
like
too. Yeah.
only
Yeah.
if I see the game do I then start remembering what was happening in it.
No, that's exactly right. The same is for me. Like I'll see a photograph or something from a play or, let's say a TV show, and it's like, oh yeah, and I remember all the stuff around it. But otherwise, no. But you do remember that very first experience.
Oh
for
yeah.
sure.
Oh yeah. Absolutely, dude.
Yeah.
I'll never forget it. Never forget it.
Yeah.
What's going on, everybody, in the chat? We got Ray Porter here.
Hello, chat.
If you want to get a question read to Ray Porter to see if we can get him to talk about certain things you guys want to hear about,
get me to talk.
Super chats will be prioritized. But we do have one super chat here from Christopher Arcella.
Okay,
he is putting up $10 here. Appreciate that, Christopher.
Very cool.
Says, "Hey, Uche and Ray Porter. Question for Ray. One of the previous iconic Darkseid voice was for the animated series by Mike Ironside. Did you have to try to differentiate yours as your own away from his?"
Do you know, I never thought in those terms. I mean, first of all, mad respect to Michael Ironside, mad respect to Andre Brower, mad respect to Jonathan Adams and all of the other actors who have voiced Darkseid. I kind of looked at it a little bit like when I was doing Shakespeare, where it's like, yeah, 10,000 guys have played this role. This is the first time I'm playing it. And so I have to find the reality and play what I feel is right in this moment and hopefully contribute to that crowd of voices that have done the role. The same was true. It wasn't, I never for a second was like, well, I can't sound like Michael Ironside, I mean, damn, I'd be lucky if I could sound like him,
Yeah.
But no, it just the voice just sort of happened. I knew what Darkseid looked like because I had seen a concept, which the concept artist actually put it out on Twitter a couple of days ago. That image, he put it out there. That's been on my phone for the last 7 years. That was what the image that I saw of him from that time, and that was the one they were working with. So I kind of knew what he looked like, and then the voice just sort of organically happened out of that.
Wow! Let me share this with the. Let me share this real quick while we're. Share this with the chat. Wow, this is pretty nice. That's kind of crazy.
That's early Uxas. Yeah. Let's see. Yep, there it is. Yeah. Wow. And that was the image that was on my phone forever. And like super secret, you can't show this to anyone kind of thing. Yeah. And that was on my phone forever. And so I sort of, based on that, I was like, well, what would a fellow like that sound like? And sort of organically made the choice. I'm glad that it's different enough from the other voices so that, it lends maybe another crayon to the box of colors that has already been there. But no, I never really thought in terms of, okay, I'm going to do this, but I must not sound like this guy. I'd do well if I could sound like Michael Ironside. I'm just extremely relieved that people seem to be happy with what I did.
Yeah, man. It was I
was nervous about that, man. I was like, or people are going to like it, especially after all this buildup. Will people like it?
Yeah, I think once I the first time I heard Darkseid's voice, I actually missed it in the little Batman
in the teaser?
The little Batman teaser.
Yes.
I missed it. So the second time I listened to it is when I actually heard it, and I was like, oh, Darkseid, that's Darkseid. It did have an organic feel to it, a very alien feel.
What I loved is that the artists who did the sound design on the movie, I mean, Kieran sounds like Kieran, Peter sounds like Peter, and I sound like me.
Yeah, you can hear it. Yeah.
Obviously, there's some effects added, but that's our voices. I remember doing that scene with Peter as Darkseid. That's what he sounded like. So yeah, that was cool.
So what about like, okay, so did they just have you in the studio doing voice work, or did they brought you on the set too, right?
Yeah,
you had to wear the
I did mocap. Yes.
Yeah, you did mocap.
I did some mocap. I jumped out of the I did the Uxas trying to get to baggage claim before everyone else jump out of the thing. I ran my fingers through
you you did the jump.
I didn't do the jump like the camera behind me jumping a great distance.
No, I know that. I'm just saying you did
the frame. I mean, I got to do the superhero or
superhero landing with your fingers in the dirt.
I got to do it. Yes. I put my finger. I mean, how am I going to not? I'm there. I'm going to do that. Even if they told me don't do that, I would have done it at least once. And then, and then, my hand grasping grabbing the earth and looking at it, and then taking that big swing, which in the case of mocap, because I was wearing my fetching black lycra suit with reflective balls all over it, I had a broomstick.
Oh, so it was a broom.
But again, I mean, I did that. What made it into the final version of the film may very well be Richard Citrone, who did the mocap of fights and stuff like that and movement for Steppenwolf and for me in the film. And he's a very talented person. So, I mean, I've just been telling people, if it looks really good, it's probably Citrone. And then
I don't put it past you. You could get that nice axe swing going. I mean, with a broomstick, you should be able to.
I'm wicked with the broomstick. You should see it. And then I did some voice sessions, and then there was shooting Kieran and Peter and I wearing different kind of VFX suit, basically what Ray wore as Cyborg for filming. And then we had this headgear with these little cameras and a little light shining right in our face, so that basically on the monitor, all they could see was this, so the CGI people could do our mouth movements and our expressions. As we acted the scene, and our eye movements and stuff like that. So
was there because I kind of wondered about this when it came to the computer graphics. Did they use any of your likeness like in the design? Like, or did
it's funny, my son is the one who saw Darkseid and said, "Oh, I can totally see that's you." And somebody else was like, "Yeah, dude."
I felt like there was a little likeness there. I felt like there was.
Yeah. It's
kind of like how they do in the Disney animated movies, where the characters have a little slight likeness to the voice actor.
Well, you take the shape of someone's face and you're doing their movements as they're acting, like with their eyes and, the way that their nose or their mouth moves when they're saying a certain thing. It's going to end up looking a little bit like them. So I think there is a little bit of me in there, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. For those of you who are just jumping in, I am your observant Lamanuche Waneri, and I got here with me Ray Porter.
Hello.
Lord Darkseid himself.
Yes. Lord of Apocalypse.
We're talking about his early time in theater and the process for bringing Darkseid to the small screen, I guess, but to the big screen.
To various screens. I got to see it in
various
IMAX.
Screens. True.
In IMAX, damn. Yeah, it's something else.
So again, if you'd like to ask some questions, if I see a really good question in the chat, I'll ask it. But we are prioritizing super chats for questions. Now, tell me a little bit about you come from the theater background, also I hear that Ray Fisher comes from the theater background as well.
He worked at the same theater that I did. He was at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival. We weren't there at the same time, but yes.
Okay. Yeah. So
he has a theatrical background as well.
So that's I felt like throughout the course of the whole DCEU that the casting choices have always been spot on, and to kind of look outside the box and go for
the thing,
guys who are in theater. I mean, that's just a great opportunity to kind of get you guys put you guys in a position to be successful, right?
Zack has this almost magical ability to look at someone and know what they're capable of doing, and he's able to get the best from them. He has a really, really interesting eye. I mean, it's hard to imagine Wonder Woman without Gal Gadot now. And it was Zack who basically went, yeah, her, think about Aquaman, what Aquaman looked like before Jason Momoa stepped into that role.
Yeah.
And how definitive
he was. The butt of he was the punchline.
Yeah.
Aquaman was the punchline.
I'm so sorry. Hold on a minute.
Oh, you're good. Go ahead.
I just got a friend of mine calling. And like, because I have the iPad, the phone, and the computer all kind of linked together, somebody calls, like everything lights up.
Yeah.
So I apologize.
No problem. No problem.
Yeah. And so, I mean, he looked at Ray and just knew.
Yeah.
I know in my case, like we had known each other for quite some time, kind of socially, basically, and I was reading the scripts for him because he liked hearing the words as opposed to just reading them. It's a different experience, obviously. And, hearing what it sounds like in people's mouths is, I think, a lot more informative for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I did that. And then there was one day where he was like, hey, could you try, what do you think this guy would sound like? And I went, well, and I did it. And then the next thing I know, I'm cast as Darkseid. I was like, oh, okay. All right.
That's how it all came together, folks.
Yeah.
He just read a couple. Oh shit. He just read a couple of lines and that sealed the deal. I mean, that's a heck of a win. That's a heck of a win. I mean, you are engraved in comic book history now.
And very proud of that. I'm very proud of that. I didn't think about the momentousness of it until after this version of the film was released, where it was like, damn, I'm the first live action Darkseid. What?
First one.
Wow.
First one.
And I know some people are like, no, Michael Ironsides is mine, the animated one. And that's great.
That's fine. That's like saying Kevin Conroy is the animated Batman from the animated series. Like,
yes,
he is Batman. Everybody agrees with that. Nobody's going to say that, nobody's going to put his situation down in regards to where he ranks as the Batmans go. It's all subjective, but most people will agree that Kevin Conroy is the voice of Batman. Like, yeah, but there have been other good voices of Batman that I'm perfectly fine with. There have been other good ones.
So it's you get to, I mean, basically I get to wear the jersey too. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. It's like, I can't get mad because I see somebody wearing my jersey number in Jacksonville now.
I mean, I don't know, man. Let me make a call. Retire that shit. Retire that shit.
Nobody wore it the first 2 years after I retired from there. So I was kind of like, maybe they're showing some love, not like handing my number out to nobody yet. But
I mean, honestly,
by the third year, they had it.
Yeah, but I gotta say, given what little I know of the organization as a whole, 2 years, that's some serious respect. Well earned. So,
it was cool.
Because
it's cool to see that, because they could have easily. I mean, I've seen guys' numbers get given to somebody else the moment they walk out the locker room. Like,
exactly,
as soon as he turned left.
Yeah,
they're handing that jersey to the guy they just signed and brought in. So
exactly. It's one of those.
Cool. We got a super chat here from Pleb Gamer Arena Aaron G for Filipino.
Who played Granny Goodness?
Yes, 125. Appreciate that super chat.
I don't know. She wasn't there when Peter and I shot that scene. She was brought in later. And I don't think
she didn't have any lines. So no, I mean, I think it was just the mocap for the Was it an actress or was it CG?
I'm sure it was. I mean, I don't know. She wasn't there. It was me and Peter in a dark room with Kieran standing, at some distance watching on camera. And when we would cut, he would say nasty things and we'd all laugh. I mean, no, Granny Goodness was not. Zack told me that she was going to be there, and I was like, "Whoa!" He and I had a conversation before the movie came out where he described the nightmare sequence, where I'm doing different things, to different people, and then he mentioned, at the end, with the visual of what it would be, and he said, "And Granny Goodness is there." I was like, "Wow!" So she was a late addition.
Hold on. So this was nightmare as in the nightmare story?
No. This is I'm sorry.
Or the montage scene, the little montage scene.
That montage scene when Ray sees it all, as a potential.
The vision.
Which essentially, I believe, unless I'm mistaken, that event sets up what we know of as the nightmare sequence, right? Because Darkseid now has sway over the earth.
Yeah.
So anyway, Yeah. So again,
Spoiler alert.
that I knew. Yeah, exactly.
If you haven't seen it by now, that's on you.
If you haven't seen it by now, what are you doing watching this?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Come on
You
now.
shouldn't even be in here.
Catch up. There's people who've seen it 10 times.
We got another super chat here from Isaiah Garcia for $5. Appreciate that, Isaiah. He says, "Hey Ray, did Zack want you to have your hands behind your back like classic Darkseid? How confident are you that the Snyderverse will be restored?" So here y'all go, putting them on the spot.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll you know, I won't occupy much space on the spot because it's a whole lot I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was never a discussion of like, okay, now we're going to do the hands behind the back thing. I mean, I knew that was a thing, but in the stuff that we did, it didn't really come up. It wouldn't come up in any way that was that sort of organically made sense. And so there was the sequence where, and you catch it, you've got to really be like eagle-eyed, but he's doing that pose just as the boom tube opens up and he turns around.
Oh, and he turns around. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
Pose is happening. He's standing there, obviously getting information or something like that. And then the boom tube opens up and it's like, oh, look. And to answer the second question, that's a thorny one. I don't know at this point. Obviously, I know what I would like to have happen. And I think I share that ambition with a lot of other people. I mean, I would love for it to continue because, did you see the stuff that was posted about the ideas that Zack had for the
storyboards?
Story?
Yeah.
I mean, hell, never mind being in it. That's movies I want to see.
Yeah.
It's cool. And yeah, I'd love to do it.
I'm curious as to when they're going to actually like give us the accurate numbers on the viewership on the
I mean, I don't claim
stuff.
I don't claim to know there's a whole lot of stuff going on that's so far above my pay grade I can't even see it.
Yeah. But how could you know any of those?
No. And I think sometimes the fans know sooner and more than I do pretty much throughout all of this experience. However, I think that there's probably a great deal of face saving going on right now. I think
there has to be.
I think it's very, very hard it's hard in the best of times to admit that maybe you were mistaken about something.
Yeah.
And so there's a lack of willingness to do that. I think that, if you really think about it, this is kind of the first time fans have sent something back to the chef. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, this is not quite right. This isn't nutritious enough. We want the actual dinner, so the fact that it happened at all is pretty incredible. And that's very much due to the fans. On this, I think I
kind of think about it like, if they haven't realized, if they haven't noticed, they've probably widened their reach as far as new audience with this movie. Like,
I agree.
There are people who literally would not have who've never seen a DCEU movie at all, who watched Justice League and really liked it.
Exactly.
And that I think that shows. I think one of the metrics that we've seen is that activations of the HBO Max app itself went up like 68%.
Yeah. And that's just some of the numbers that we know. I mean, there's
some of the numbers, right?
There's a lot of figures coming in on other projects that seem to be very quickly coming in, but they can't seem to find the metrics on this one.
I think the UK said they had like 900,000.
Yeah. I mean, we broke servers in Asia, and I think it's just a matter of time. Honestly, I really do. I think that it's, I mean, nobody likes to hear.
And there's a rumor that there's a rumor that The Rock.
Yeah, I saw that too.
That could be spicy. Yeah,
it could be very interesting. I mean, clearly it's something that was wanted. It's something that did very, very well. But I really just think it's going to be a matter of time. I think there's a lot of feelings around this whole thing. I think there's a lot of stresses and concerns around this whole thing. And I think that as glacial as it may seem, some time has to pass before we have any clear picture on what's going to happen. I do know that it is wanted by many, including me.
Oh yeah.
And if I could make it happen, I would. I can't.
Yeah.
So I hope that those who can take a look and realize that it would be good for them to do. And that's fingers crossed.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I think everyone who's in, even just everybody who's observing it in pop culture. I mean, aside from people who are fans of pop culture, people who are fans of comic books can both see this kind of the same way that, this was this was a much anticipated film that really was spurred by a movement, and it ended up being a really good film that has garnered interest from people that maybe have got a little bit of MCU fatigue. Maybe they haven't been into comic book movies, but they saw something they liked in this one.
Yes, I agree.
It's varying. So there's
also a funny phenomena that I've seen pop up quite often, which I find really rewarding. There are a lot of people who are now saying, I went back and I watched BVS. I hated BVS then. I went back and watched it after seeing this, and I love it. And it's a lot better than I thought it was, because it was a part of a story, and it takes this long to tell this story. Yeah. So people are now, with that context, going back and looking at BVS and going, yeah, that's good. I like that. It's really gratifying, and also
I think BVS has grown kind of like fine wine.
I agree. And kudos to them for being able to say, no, I slagged on Man of Steel and on BVS, and now going back and looking at it, it's better than I initially said. So I was wrong. Good on them. Again, it takes courage to go, nah, I wasn't correct.
True.
So,
it does.
Good for them.
We got a $2 super chat. Again from Isaiah Garcia. What's up, man? He says, "Are you involved in the New Gods movie?" Ava DuVernay is doing that one.
I'll tell you something. I would love to work with her because I admire her so much as an artist. I don't know anything. I've not been spoken to in any way about it. And in fact, early on when people were kind of spamming the hell out of her Twitter, about Ray Porter, man. It's like, stop. And so I finally came out and said, Ava's a brilliant artist and a great storyteller, and she should be able to cast whoever the hell she wants in whatever role she wants, She responded to that, which I thought was very kind. But I do believe that. Yeah, I mean, of course, would I like to work with her? Yes, because I admire her as an artist. Would I like to continue this character? Of course. If she makes a different artistic choice, she should be able to do that freely. Remember, this fandom was all about celebrating and preserving an artist's vision.
Yeah.
That's not just Zack. That's everybody. So
for sure.
I think that whatever Ava chooses to do is going to be the right choice.
And it's funny that, that comes up because Jack Kirby's grandson actually follows me, and me and him talked a little bit on Twitter. He follows me, and me and him communicated. I'm going to try and get him to come on soon as well. Matter of fact, let me shoot him a message real quick. Let's see if I can't get him in here.
The thing he said in response to me thanking him, I actually screenshotted it, and I'm keeping it, in a folder. To have that blessing.
Oh man, I it's crazy because when I saw that he was following me, the first thing I did was I sent a message. Your grandfather was a legend. Like, appreciate it.
Yeah, he was.
And he thanked me, and when we talked a little bit. And I asked him actually about Ava DuVernay's project, and whether or not they, people who are involved with it, or people who are involved in the creative process with her, have reached out to the family at all for any kind of like information or any kind of referencing some lore or anything. And he said that they hadn't, which to me, that was I because you have to be very careful with New Gods. You have to be very careful with New Gods. That is a like precious IP of not only DC, but also it's precious to fans of hardcore fans of the DC universe. So
what are your feelings about I mean, I know that Tom King is working very closely with her on this project.
Honestly, I don't have any feelings until I see something. It's been a few years now.
Yeah.
So it's all on, whatever she's doing, whatever she's, cooking up as far as the creative process goes. Right. I have no judgment on it until I see it. Right. And, and generally for me, the way I look at the way, like for instance, with Zack, like not even with Zack, with all media that I consume it for what the creator, what they're trying to show me. I don't necessarily apply my preconceived notions to the story they're trying to tell.
Well, so like as a performer, I'm really glad that that's your approach.
Yeah, I just wait till I see it. Mm-hmm. And I know what I like. If I like it, I like it,
Precisely.
If I don't, I don't. I really, I loved every Batman movie. And I'm like a diehard Batman. I loved all of them, the old ones and the new ones.
Yes, me too.
So I took the movies for what they were, based on what the vision of the creator was. So, I don't apply comic book necessarily all of the comic book principles of the character, because the comic book principles of the character, they vary based on the different stories that are told.
Of course,
Elseworld stories tell, especially for a character like Batman, Elseworld stories tend to play a little bit different. Like, and to me, even though it's not canon, it's a part of the DC experience for those characters. So, when you're in the proper DC universe, they have their, they have different retellings of origins. Like in New 52, we got Court of the Owls, whereas with Rebirth, we get the Joker War, the Dark Knight Metal.
Yes,
we get a number of different stories that present Batman in different lights, present his perspective in different ways, and where he's willing to bend and sometimes break his rules, like in the Darkseid War, where he actually killed Darkseid. So, and he got hit with the Omega beams at the same time. So,
see, I think that's funny to me, because I certainly think there's a great deal of validity in someone saying, I like this, but I don't like this. That's your right. That's your choice, and that's your preference. Fine, end of conversation. It's when you start getting into heated debates about what's good and what isn't in a world that to me seems to be inclusive of just about anything. As at my feeble knowledge of DC Comics as it does seem to be incredibly inclusive and very fluid. There's a lot of different storylines, a lot of different interpretations of characters, a lot of, so there's room for it. Now, if that's your cup of tea, fine. And if it isn't, fine.
Yeah,
but
sure.
to say this is wrong, it's like, well, is it? Because look at how much is included and look at how much is brought in. There's room for a lot of different interpretations. So I don't know.
No, absolutely. Like there's always a different way to spin comic book characters. I mean, especially when you're bringing them to the movies, because some things, in the more grounded world, some things just aren't always possible. I mean, I know the one thing that I heard about a lot from BVS was, Batman's killing people. But
yeah,
I mean, if you really do take the kill count from Batman over the course of from 1989 to 2016, he's got a lot of kills. He's got a lot of kills under his belt.
Cemeteries just filled with
yeah. He's got a whole football field of graves of thugs that he has nonchalantly killed. In route to justice. So
it's not unprecedented.
Absolutely. All right, we got another $5 here from Patrick H8. Patrick, appreciate that. He says, I would have had a nerdgasm if the scene where Granny Goodness, Darkseid, and Desaad were walking away, if Big Barda and Mr. Miracle were off to the side. Yeah, I think that would have been just straight fan service right there.
Yeah, that definitely would have. And who's to say they aren't? I mean, Leslie Jones nailed it when she was like, "Room filled with evil motherfuckers."
Yeah.
So who knows?
Who knows?
Maybe they're off the distance. Yeah,
I think they're going to be. I think I'm hoping Big Barda and Mr. Miracle play big roles in Ava DuVernay's New God story. That's one thing that I'm really interested to see how she approaches the grander scheme of New Gods, because Mr. Miracle is what's his name? Father, forget his name. Father something. He's the good side. He's like the good dark side versus the bad dark side. So they're separate.
It's not the All Father. It's that's Norse. It's the something Father, though, is it not? It's like right now there are people screaming at their monitors saying what it is.
Yeah. Let me know in the chat, guys.
The chat is filling in the blanks.
Let us know
right now.
Let me see. High Father.
And I'm just remembering the name. But yes, High Father. Thank you.
High Father and Darkseid switched kids.
That's right.
Part of their truth. Part of their truths.
Exactly.
From their war. So you have Mr. Miracle, who's really supposed to be on the High Father, on High Father's planet, and then you have I'm forgetting the other cat's name now. Orion. Yes. Yeah. Orion is actually Darkseid's son.
That's right.
And Darkseid was like regular skinned at one point before he took power in at least in the comic books. He was regular skinned. He took power of Apocalypse, and his skin started turning gray, that grayish rock, once he got involved with the Omega Force.
Because the climate is really dry over there and he didn't have any moisturizer.
No moisturizer.
There's no shea butter on Apocalypse. I mean, this is, again, you're talking about this vast, intricate, huge story with all of these different elements in it. I mean, I keep going back to Shakespeare because it really is. I mean, it's Shakespearean, and these weird intricacies, intrigues, and betrayals, and it's a huge thing. Vast, so I'll have people ask me like, hey, this and this and this about Darkseid. I'm like, I don't know, haven't read it. I'm not as schooled, obviously. I mean, my job was to play Darkseid in this iteration. It's only now that I'm going back and reading up and getting caught
up on the lore. And again, I think because we got that taste of Darkseid, that lore would probably have been explained a little bit. Actually, I think that actually sets up Ava DuVernay perfectly if Warner Media decides to have Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League is canon, because then you've shown Darkseid, so now you can go and talk about him in a solo movie and have his entire world set up from there before the next Justice League movie would come out. But one can wish.
We shall see.
Formerly Rodline for $4.99. He says, sorry, but
my God, how do you know that? Oh my God.
Ray is the voice of Howlin' Hal from Curious George. That's a classic episode. Oh, somebody been doing a homework.
Damn, man. That's like James Bond
doing his homework.
That is hysterical. Yes, I did play Howlin' Hal, the DJ, on an episode of Curious George with Frank Welker, the voice of George.
Oh, wow.
Which was incredible, because I'm sitting next to like the godfather of voice actors, and he's being Curious George. And I played a DJ named Howlin' Hal. Curious George episode. I'm damned impressed with that research. That blows my mind.
That's deep right there. He got it figured out.
Next level. Wow.
All right, we got a $9.99 super chat from Black and White News. What's going on? What's going on, fellas? I was starting to feel at the end of the movie that Darkseid could be on Thanos level in the movies if the Snyderverse continued. Come on, Warner Brothers. What are you thinking? it's funny because if if we're being real, Darkseid would dust Thanos in a heartbeat.
He would
Darkseid would not even break a sweat. Look, like Darkseid as you see him in the movie, as you see him in the comics, is only a projection of Darkseid. That's not right. Darkseid's actual self. Correct. Darkseid exists on a different sphere in a different dimension of the multiverse, and he is like massive. He is like Galactus level as far as size goes. So, he has the Omega effect, the Omega beams. I mean, he would dust. Yeah. He would dust Thanos. Thanos wouldn't even be able to snap by to counter the Omega beams.
Exactly. And then Darkseid would drive around with that glove hanging from his rearview mirror.
Yeah. Oh, he'd have the jewels around his neck though. He'd be wearing it like a chain.
Yes, exactly.
But he's the big bad, right? He's the big bad, obviously, for the Justice League. And it's crazy, man, because after you watch the movie, the first time I watched it, I mean, I got mad after I watched it because I was like,
why
did y'all not release this? Why did y'all not like allow this thing to play out? Like you don't throw the quarterback out just because he threw, because he may have thrown more incompletions than you wanted, or may have thrown an interception. Like you let the guy play the game out, and with obviously with what we're seeing now, like I've been telling people time and time again, the DCEU is, and as Zack Snyder started it with Man of Steel, was 3 years early. Should have started 3 years later than it started, because it was being judged on a standard that it was never even trying to like play to begin with. The movies that he was making weren't doing the same thing that Marvel was doing. He was trying to make an epic that flowed over a limited amount of movies.
And Zack was right about what he said in an interview about, like, I'm not going to try to do what Marvel does so brilliantly.
Yeah, they perfected that.
They are the best at that. So why am I going to try to do that when DC has all of this other stuff, and just let the man tell his story. I mean, this is the other thing to remember through Man of Steel, definitely through Batman versus Superman. This is a person, I'm just speculating now. I don't have insider knowledge or anything, but this is someone who fought an uphill battle with one arm tied behind his back to tell the story, right? Defeated and thwarted at almost every turn.
Yeah.
This movie comes out, and it's a 99-yard punt return. I mean, it's as good as can
3 seconds left on the clock. Down by 4.
Can be by any measuring yardstick. So let the man tell the story. I'm speaking purely as an audience member now.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I watched it and I was mystified by why you would not want to have this massive, incredible thing, and so happy that it finally was able to be seen.
Yeah, man, it's just when you start thinking about, I'm glad I got to see it, because at the end of the day, as far as all of that was concerned, 2 years ago, I had just like resigned myself to, the fact at that time that we literally just completely wasted like all of these movies. We wasted this universe. We wasted it. It's in such a mess and such flux now. You don't know what direction anything's going. The one movie that should have been the tentpole for the entire universe was the Justice League movie, and that was like a TV sitcom. Like I felt like defeated in that sense. So getting to see, the actual movie itself, the true version of the movie, it redeems that for me, like obviously. But
I gotta say, being allowed,
I can wait 5 years for a second one if it's going to take that long for them to come around.
Be nice if it was sooner.
Be nice if it was sooner. Absolutely, absolutely.
No, but having been welcomed into this village, and grateful to be here, I'm really only now just beginning to get a grasp of just how hard it is to be a DC fan.
It was hard, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
The arguments I've been in over DC movies.
Oh, I know, and
and it's always these the Marvel fans that I would get into arguments with which, I mean, it's like they would just start shouting out numbers, movies, numbers, like, and it's just like, but your movies are boring. They're just they're cookie cutters. They're like the same things. Like,
yeah,
that it's it makes it hard because that there was so much more depth in what Zack and the DCEU was being built up to be. And that's why you had somebody like The Rock wanting to come in and be Black Adam, because he saw that. That's what he wanted to be a part of.
Sure.
And and you try to tell people, like, but you don't get it. It's a deep movie. And they're like, no, it's not deep. You're just trying to make an excuse for a movie that sucks. Like, people would, and you can see these layers, but it's easy. It's easy for them to do that. So
I imagine, I mean, most people that I've encountered are fans of both, houses, Marvel and DC fans, and that's fine. But just looking basically at the movies, to be a DC fan and to know what the potential is, and then to see what has happened up to this point with the movies has got to be immensely frustrating. Yeah. Especially when you take into account, the successes that Marvel has had. And, I hate the idea of factionalism. I hate the idea of different camps or whatever, but, people who've enjoyed the Marvel films should be afforded the opportunity to have that same level of enjoyment in a different way with DC films. And I kind of think that this Justice League was a step in the right direction. And I do hope it continues. I hope the stories continue to inhabit that realm of, like, now we're going to go for deeper storytelling here. We're going to ask more of the audience. We're going to do what DC does. And I really do hope that for the future. Would I like to be a part of it? Hell yes.
Oh,
if
yeah.
I'm not,
I mean,
it's what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is, right? But I mean, at the very least, you're gonna be a legend within the pop culture, like, historical lore. Like, every convention, every Comic-Con every year.
I am so looking forward to conventions. Mostly just
on that.
All these people that I've gotten to know over this whole experience, I want to be in a room and physically be able to give hugs and shake hands. And, because hey, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be on your show if it wasn't for the fans.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, I sure as hell can't.
I think that, it really does, the way that you've handled it and the way that you have been so gracious with the fans has been a big part in just, kind of for us, it makes us want to kind of lift you up more, because
I'm so grateful for that.
And that's the same with Zack, because Zack has been gracious with his fans, and, he's gone through a lot to get to this point. So that means a lot to him, the same as it means a lot to us as fans. We really do appreciate it. Now, I did just get a message from Jeremy Kirby, and he said he's cooking dinner at the second, but he's cooking dinner, but he can jump on. And he said he's listening while he's cooking. He says to let you know that the family loved your performance.
That means so much to me. I've got hair standing up. Don't make me cry on a day.
It was an amazing performance, man. It was good. I mean, it was Darkseid. You embodied it. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
And his family definitely appreciates that. So,
man, it's to hear that is something that it's probably one of the proudest moments of my career, without question.
And I'm gonna send him a link so he can jump in here once he gets a moment. Hopefully we can get him in here. That would really be awesome to have him come in.
It'd be nice to look him in the eye and say thank you.
For sure. Yeah. I'm pretty sure we'll get that chance here in a little bit. Let me send him this link.
Well, don't rush dinner. you know.
Yeah. Don't rush dinner. Don't rush dinner, Jeremy.
Important stuff first. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, what's kind of like what's
next?
I mean, yeah, I guess what's next? I mean, part of me was like, tell me about your time growing up in Indiana, but
we can
sure,
talk about that
what's
a little
next?
bit too.
Because I would me and Ray talked on Twitter.
Yes.
And I went to Purdue. So I was living in Indiana for 5 years.
That's right.
Going to college. So I have a little bit, once he said he was from Indiana.
Yeah, man. I was from Kokomo, man. Real close to Lafayette. Real close to Purdue.
Yeah.
And the thing, and I believe like immediately you were like, are you an IU? Or you were like, I was going to ask,
are you an IU guy
or a Purdue guy? And, I was so lame. I was like, I just want to be with the theater kids. So I never was, in school, I was never like one or the other.
No, that's cool.
I do remember there was a quote ascribed to Bobby Knight in an interview where they asked him, where would you like to be buried? And he said he wanted to be buried under center court at Purdue. And they said,
wow.
They said, why? And he said, because when I die, I want to be buried as far away from anybody that knows anything about basketball as possible.
Wow. We see what you did there. See, he was his heyday was in the 80s, I believe. Yes. So, yeah, I was before my time. When I got to Purdue and I kind of got wind of how the rivalry is with IU and stuff, at that time, it was like, that's like a practice for us. Yeah, that's kind of how, it's like we don't lose to IU. That was kind of the sentiment.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, all right, well then we shouldn't lose to IU then. We shouldn't lose to them.
Yeah.
But I met Mark Cuban for the first time.
Oh wow!
Like my rookie year, and I was talking with him. I met him in Las Vegas, and I was talking with him, and he's like, "Yeah, I did my undergrad at IU," and I just was like. I was like, excuse me? IU?
Yeah. I was more
I will fucking see you later.
You thought you were in a Shark Tank. Welcome to the Shark Tank. No, I was more into the auto racing, frankly. I mean, the Indy 500 and all of that.
Indy 500
that was like my thing, It's funny because I do have football like running through threads in my family on my father's side.
Mm-hmm.
Nebraska College Football Hall of Fame. Yeah.
Cornhusker.
Yeah. So, you look up the name Porter in football in Nebraska, that's my kin. That's,
Yeah, for sure. It's big time.
And growing up, like there's one of my earliest baby pictures. I was born in New York City. One of my earliest baby pictures, I'm wearing a Holy Cross football jersey because apparently my father wanted me to grow up to be a Catholic football player. Oops.
Oh, Notre Dame.
Didn't work out. Well, then I had a Notre Dame jersey, and all of that. And so, and football was always a thing because my father loved it. And I certainly grew up around it, but it was never really my thing. So while I understand it, and obviously now that I'm older, have a bit more respect. Back then it was just kind of like, I don't, it's funny as I'm getting older, I'm getting more into it. And then I also started watching the All or Nothing series on Amazon.
It's the chess match of football is what is where I enjoy a lot of like how strategies play out because
absolutely
there is there's a method to the madness.
Oh, yes.
And it's really like it's very, they make it, coaches make it more complicated than it should be, but there is still a very heavy strategic aspect that you got to pay attention to when playing.
Absolutely. Well, that to me is the thing. I think growing up and particularly because I'm elderly, and so coming up like in the 70s and in the 80s, they never really focused so much on the mental.
It was just run it.
Well, they never. Then I'm sure it was there. I'm sure it was present. But broadcasters and to people watching, to fans, to spectators, and things like that, there was no. There wasn't a real highlight on the mental rigor that it takes to play any position in football.
Oh yeah.
The strategic aspects of it, the being in tune with the teammates, what's going on here, the fluidity to change, mixed with unbelievable athleticism. And obviously just how physically hard it is to play the damn game.
Yeah, for sure.
Particularly at the level that you were playing at, and so.
Yeah, well, it was a little bit different then, back, 30, 40 years ago, the players were even different, like just the size of the players, the speed. So, right. I mean, it doesn't take away from from the rigor of it at all. But I guess, I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's back in the days, they didn't do a lot of training in the way that you do it now. Like once you were done after the season, that was pretty much that. Oh, we have a guest.
Oh, dear.
We have a guest. I would like to welcome to the stream the grandson of the great Jack Kirby, Jeremy Kirby. What is going on, man?
Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
Hello, sir.
Doing good, man. How was dinner?
Thank you. It's getting there. We're cooking some tonight. We got some matzo ball soup for another Passover.
Nice. Good Pesach. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. So it's a good night, but I'm excited to join you guys.
I do like a good matzo ball. I gotta say, man, there's just nothing quite like it.
So Jeremy, yeah, man, I let Ray know that you guys loved the performance. How'd you guys like the movie as a whole?
It was awesome. I grabbed the whole family. We literally, started it pretty late. I think it went till around 2 a.m. or so, but kids loved it. I loved it. My wife loved it. It was awesome. It was great. It was such a, not just different, but also just, I mean, obviously, an improvement, I'd say from 2017. So it was so good to really be able to see kind of, I guess, Zack's full vision come to light. And, with Darkseid and Ray, and what an amazing job you did. It was awesome.
Thank you very much.
It was something that I myself had been waiting for literally, for years and years, because we knew DC would eventually get to the big bad, and that's what he is. He's the big bad. He is the greatest, I believe, supervillain ever created. And it was awesome to see it on screen. And yeah, man, thank you. It was great.
So. Oh no, I think I told you, but I was like, I screamed like a little girl when I saw your response to my tweet, thanking you, and I'd screenshotted it. I've got a folder, on my iPad of Darkseid. So I, like, to anybody who would listen, I was like sending them the image from dude, look at this. You really, really kind of put a gold star on the whole experience for me, and I will forever be grateful for kind of the blessing of from your family, and what that means to me is huge. So I cannot thank you enough.
Awesome. Thank you. It was great. Thanks for helping, bring the big guy to the screen.
Yeah. So happy to do so.
It was it was awesome to have the whole family there, the kids. I'm like, oh, look at this, here he comes. We're like, which is weird because you normally don't cheer for the bad guys.
We did in this house too. Yeah. We did in this house as well.
Hey, I mean, I kind of was okay with Darkseid winning, not gonna lie. I was kind of okay with that.
I wouldn't mind. I got to say that entrance when when I call it the Zoom call, but when when the parademons start kneeling and everything, and Steppenwolf's like, "What's up?" and then the crescendo of music from Junkie XL, that soundtrack, and he just comes through. I was like, "This is the best entrance I have ever and probably will ever make in anything."
Yeah,
it was great. I mean, it was just all set up even before I spoke. It was wonderful.
It was all excellent. Like, for the first look at Darkseid in a live action movie, like, I mean, it was perfect to me. I felt like it was really as good as it could get. I mean, and I don't know. Have you seen there's some there's some concept art here. Have you seen the concept art that they revealed for Darkseid?
This is way back in the day. This was what wardrobe department was working with. Oh, wow. This is what, just sort of conceptually what it was going to be way before there was any CGI. Mm-hmm. And I remember seeing this on a wall, and I've had it on my phone for the last 7 years. But that was kind of what he was going to look like. And you can obviously see that there's been some changes in the intervening years. But yeah, that was my first glimpse of Darkseid in this film a long time ago.
And Rand, I know you probably, I'm sure Uchi's asked it, and I'm sure a lot of people have, but
hey man, I just want to get to ask me any damn thing you want.
Yeah, man. Go ahead, talk on. I want to hear what you got to say. See the Dr. Doom back there. Fantastic Four. Shit. Go ahead, talk on.
Things I want to know. But no, what did it? Again, I'm sure everyone's already asked it, but what did it really feel like for yourself to finally get to see yourself up there when you must have been so excited years ago, and then I can only imagine. So what did it finally feel like there?
Do you know something? I've not been asked that question that much. I'll tell you, and thank you for asking it. This was such a huge emotional journey for me from the beginning. I mean, both professionally and personally, stuff I won't go into, but just personal life things that happened around that same time. So to be in this thing, and I love Zack, and I love the team and everybody that was working on it, and I was so proud that I was in it and playing this role, and then to be told no, and be quiet, it was very hard, and I just sort of consigned it to the dustbin because it's Hollywood. I certainly have been burned before, and it was unfortunate, and it was really sad, and whatever. And then these rumblings start. Because the 2017 release came out, and fans, the image I've used before is, fans went, no, we'd like to send this meal back to the chef, and then rumors started about, and at that same time I had contacted Warner Brothers and DC via email and was just like, hey, now that the movie's out, can I at least tell people I played Darkseid? Because I was thinking of myself, just career-wise,
yeah, absolutely.
And they were like, we would really prefer you not. I was like, okay, so I can't talk about it. Then these rumors start of Darkseid was in the movie, and I'm like, huh? And then I saw several articles speculating on which A-list actors would be playing the role. What was the theories? And I'm just kind of sitting there by myself ha. And again, I couldn't say anything, so it was just something I observed, and it was like, well, it's a shame, but there you go. And this was still at the stage of wow, we could have had this. We don't even know if the cut exists. A lot of people were saying it didn't. Somebody leaked that I played it. Somebody high up. I still don't know exactly who, but somebody to a group, podcasters or whatever, had leaked it. So I mean, I tell people this story, and it's true. I had 300 followers on Twitter, people who were, like audiobooks, because I narrate audiobooks. So I went to bed with 300 Twitter followers. I get up the next day, I've got 2,500, and I've got an inbox just filled with people hey, we heard you played Darkseid. And I immediately went into panic mode, thinking I'm going to get sued. I'm never going to work again. I'm going to, so I contacted Warner Brothers in DC. They were like, we know it wasn't you. It's okay. But I still didn't feel like I could actually come out and say, even though that was the speculation. And as Uchi and I talked, it was, I got right up to the edge, but I never actually fully came out. So when Zack finally announced that it was going to be shown on HBO Max in 2021, I texted him immediately and went, can I come out of the closet as Darkseid? He said, yeah. And that was when I finally officially could say, yes. And the sort of collective hug from this fandom was overwhelming. It's not something I'll forget ever. And especially after all of this. So to sit down and see it was emotional. To read your tweet to me was emotional. So I'm very grateful.
Absolutely. I just, I was telling my wife just the other day, like, just, I'm so, like, I'm genuinely happy for you, because, like, I feel like, you know, I've been up on the whole thing and reading, you know, again, it's been years and years coming. I think it's to finally be able to have that out, and, like, you're taking it in stride. I love seeing you interact with the fans. So it's like, I think, like, we couldn't have asked for a better representative.
Thank you.
Darkseid, you know, you seem like an awesome guy. You're great with the fans, and I couldn't be happier for you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. It's absolutely been a privilege across the board. And I'm very grateful, very humble about the entire experience, and it's been marvelous. It really has. And what an adventure.
Jeremy, real quick, so I mean, I asked you once before, didn't you know? We talked a little bit about it with the New Gods movie. Like, have y'all been? Has your family been? Have they got any updates on where they're at with that? Like, where they're at with the process? Anything that's going on with that whole thing?
Best thing that I would say is really, DC is always amazing at keeping us as much in the loop as they possibly can. And they've always been great to the family. So yeah, when we do hear news, they do a good job of updating, but a lot of that, there's, you know, it's Warner Brothers, and it's up that chain, so to speak. So there's not much that comes down, but I can say that, you know, Ava's always been gracious. And the people that they have involved are very much Kirby fans, and I think they're going to do an amazing job. And I hope to see it come to fruition. So absolutely,
I hope so too.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I think that it definitely gives a deeper look into the more, like, vast, more cosmic side of DC. You know, you see the first link to the cosmic side of DC is Darkseid. Like, for the Justice League, their first encounter with the cosmic side is Darkseid. So I think getting kind of a doing some world building on that end would be great. You know, I just really hope that, you know, when they do it, I just hope that it's done in a way that rings true to the lore. It doesn't have to be like step for step, because it's never step for step in the movie world. But, you know, give it, make it, you know, keep the essence of the characters, keep the essence of the story, of the saga, the battle, you know, of the New Gods. Like, keep the essence of that intact. I mean, your grandfather did. I mean, he did a great service to the comic book world creating these characters. So,
without question,
it would behoove you know, that creative process to kind of keep that in mind as they come up with their own, you know, their own vision of it. So
absolutely.
But yeah, man. So
it's huge. You know,
I would definitely say I'd leave you guys with this. I definitely say don't sleep on the New Gods characters, because they are. You know, Warner's, everyone, they're literally sitting on a cosmic trove of characters that
without question,
everywhere, galaxies and galaxies of characters. So, you know, if you want to tell, you know, I mean, you could have stories on Apocalypse, you could have stories on Earth, on New Genesis, Source Wall. It doesn't matter. You could go everywhere, and possibilities are endless.
This is the thing I've discovered is, you know, I think you probably heard, you know, I've sort of been retroactively going back and learning a lot of these stories and stuff. You start to delve into your grandfather's storytelling, which is massive and vast and huge. And I'm including, you know, the old Norse Eddas, you know, those sagas. That stuff. I mean, it's vast. You're talking movie after movie after movie after movie.
You could do a universe on just the New Gods.
Start to explore this world, and it really is kind of never ending. And so I do hope that more of that storytelling is shared with the world, because it's damn good.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I hope you're a part of it. So thank you.
I would love to be, man. Sign me up. I know you got to get back to dinner. Yes.
Yeah.
Man.
They're being patient though. So I appreciate you guys.
Hey, man, thanks for dropping in, man. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for dropping in.
Take care. Have a good night.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That was awesome. That is Darkseid. That is your Darkseid That's Darkseid's daddies. That's Darkseid's daddies.
I got
granddaddies.
Hair standing. I mean, you have to talk to
the creators.
Your creator. What? Literally, I met my maker. I mean,
literally. As far as Darkseid,
what a kind man. What a kind man. But he's right about that. Don't sleep on those characters, because you start to crack that open, and it's like, oh my God, we could spend decades just exploring just this aspect of these stories. It's so vast and huge, and I really hope they do that.
Yeah, for sure. I hope they do. I hope they really do kind of dive into it.
Unbelievable storyteller, and I'm all about people's stories getting told. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Let me catch up some of these super chats real quick. We're way behind. Let me see here. Where was down here. All right. So
yes.
Pleb Gamer, Aaron G for another Philippine 125. He says the hologram and kneeling Steppenwolf scene was awesome. Also, I would love to see the fight for the throne. Watched Zack Snyder's Justice League 8 times now. Please send help. Help is on the way.
That's funny.
Help is on the way. We got Isaiah Garcia for 5 USD says, when you read the script, when you put your hand on Henry's shoulder, how did you feel? Do you personally have an idea where the story is headed?
Understanding just how dark that aspect of the story can go, and just understanding, what a beautiful expression of evil that it is. I'm very happy with that. Now, I did not myself put my hand on Henry's shoulder in that scene. But watching it, to me, it was a wonder. I mean, it's wordless, and it's really only a very brief glimpse, and you see the nature of evil. Just in that
put his hand on his shoulder.
So awful.
Superman's
eyes still smoking from, it's like, it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
You don't
layers
expect
and layers
mega
and layers.
beams are coming.
yeah. Or they've just been, what I mean?
Or they've just been used.
That's the afterburn, and it's like,
that was such like brutal. That montage was so bones. That you know what vibe I got from that straight up? I straight up got that Lord of the Rings, the first Lord of the Rings movie vibe, where they have that big war with Saruman at the beginning.
Yeah,
like, that was the vibe I got, because
it definitely had aspects of that. It definitely felt like that.
Standing in the distance, he's standing in the distance when the Amazons are doing their thing.
Yes,
and you just see his silhouette in the light from the ship, and he's about to go to work on that whole island.
Yeah,
like. Oh man, he wrecked.
The cutting the lantern's hand off, and then almost getting the ring. And
Can you imagine if he would have got a Green Lantern ring?
There's been a lot of speculation about that.
That would have been crazy. That would have been crazy.
I've seen actually some artwork already posted of him, having gotten it. What that would look like, cool as hell. I gotta say, man, the artists on Twitter, damn,
they make it happen, man.
Man,
they can come up with anything.
Well, I posted this actually on Twitter. I said I keep a folder of stuff, and I save like almost everything, because I just want to have it, and I'll send to my son later.
Yeah, dude, that'll be. You know what, dude? There's so much good stuff that you'll have to like show like your kids, show like grandkids, like that's the awesome part about
it's really fun.
Where we're at in our culture, where people can make can create, take the character and then make something even more like unique with it, but it's kind of like an homage to you.
Well, the fact that it inspires these great artists to create at all is wonderful. The fact that they share it, it's such a privilege for me to be able to see this brilliant work that these people do, and they just do it. They don't think anything of it. They're like, I just did this, here you go.
It was just Wednesday.
Wait a minute, I can't sign my name. Look at you. No, it's incredible. So I've been saving all of that stuff, and I'm going to have as much fun with this as I possibly can.
Hey, you earned it, man. You fucking earned it.
Well, we all kind of did.
Deserve it. Yeah, you deserve
we all
it.
sort of did. This horrible roller coaster ride through hell of the last few years that everybody has gone through.
Yeah.
In seeing this thing and to see it finally achieved, it's such a gift to be able to celebrate with everyone. And my favorite thing during the time when just the trailers were coming out was I would see the trailer, then I'd immediately go on YouTube and watch the reactions.
The reaction videos. Yeah, that's what I did.
To see the joy was the most wonderful thing in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So what a privilege.
Right, we got another super chat here from Isaiah Garcia again. Isaiah, I see you lighting it up. He says, The Rock was that WWE power. It's gonna happen. Ray, get ready. Your schedule gonna be booked.
I'm
for
ready.
Darkseid.
I'm ready. From your lips to God's ears. Thank you.
Colin C for $10. He puts up a super sticker. Appreciate that, Colin C. Austin Kranich says for $5 USD, Ray, could you pick Zack's brain about Gerard Butler playing Orion? The dude is perfect for it. P.S. Your Darkseid was epic, and I can't wait to see you in Justice League 2.
Thank you. Thank you. Fingers crossed. Thank you. Yeah, he would be good, wouldn't he? Damn.
Yeah, the 300 Gerard Butler sure would. I mean, he's how that was a while ago. When was that? Was 2000?
That was a while back.
2003 or 2004, maybe.
It was some time ago.
Yeah. No, but I could see him playing that. I mean,
somebody asked me like, who would I like to have playing Orion? And my God, there's so many brilliant actors. I have no idea, but I'd be interested to hear what people think. Who thinks who?
Yeah, you could probably find any number of actors because I mean, Orion wears a helmet most of the time, so
true.
We won't be able to even see his face that much.
No, it's true. So you get a really ugly dude.
Yeah. The Recovery 716 for $4.99. He says, I want a Joel Schumacher cut of Batman Forever. Lol, I loved you in Justice League, Ray.
Thank you very much. And I know a lot of people do. A lot of people want to see the Ayer cut. A lot of people,
the Ayer cut. Yeah.
It's a little bit of a can of worms for some people in the fact that it's like,
where does it end?
It's directors.
That's the first thing people are going to say.
I mean, not even that, but just like, hey, this director's vision, undiluted or unchanged,
uncorrupted,
is pretty terrific. So let's see that. Let's see that with these other filmmakers. How do you manage that? I don't know. The things that I'm glad are above my pay grade.
Hey, man. No. Hey, you don't have to worry about that. No. But I'll tell you what, I would be very interested in seeing what David Ayer did with Suicide Squad, just simply for the fact of when I heard that a trailer editing company, a company that edits movie trailers, edited Suicide Squad. And I watched Suicide Squad. I mean, it was like,
well, he is a director that I respect immensely, and
he's done amazing movies. What was it? Last Watch, Last Watch. He did Fury. I mean, those are great movies.
Jesus, I really admire him, and I really admire his work. And if he feels, as he seems to have indicated in posts that I've seen of his, if he feels that it should be seen, well, then I think it should be. I'm behind that.
And I don't even think he needs anything to do it. I just think he needs access to the film to put it back together the way he had it.
Yeah. I hope it happens for him.
Same here.
Anybody whose voice was, muffled. I think.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. And I don't mean to get into talking about, just my own sentiment towards the studio itself, but how many movies have they interfered with? I mean, if you count the DCEU movies, the only ones that I can think of that, I mean, not even just the DCEU movies. There have been other movies that I've heard where Warner Brothers just has a history of stepping in and messing with people's movies.
I'm certainly not being an apologist for them, because they don't need me to be an apologist for them. But I think that when you're talking about a massive organization like that, that's going to have different goals or more goals beyond, what the fans want, I think that their choice is made, and you roll the dice. It's for good or ill. And I think probably there are many citable cases where it has been a good idea. And there's obviously been cases where it has not been a good idea.
Yeah.
I don't know how you sort of pluck the threads from this whole sort of Gordian knot of how do you do this. But I think that you look at the body of work of Zack Snyder, you look at the body of work of David Ayer, you look at the body of work of some of these other directors, Schumacher, and that sort of thing. And I do think it certainly bears re-examining. We're fortunate in that Zack got to tell most of his story. Don't forget, there were still there's
still some more changes that he hadn't talked about too.
Yeah. But he got the most of his story told that he could in this instance, and we're all the better for it. So, absolutely. I don't know how they're going to negotiate that. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. I mean, I would say to people, especially people who are, hardcore fans like myself, give it this year. Don't expect to hear anything this year. Don't hype yourself up, with rumors to think that something's that there's something imminent as far as an announcement. I would say give it this year, because they're not going to make an announcement. And I mean, even if they are going to make an announcement, they're not going to do it at a point right now where there would be such a reaction from the masses. Well, when I say the masses, social media, because of, how well the movie did and how they came out, and how the Warner Media CEO, said, basically put a, tied a bow on it and said, that's it. It's over. That really, the fan base was pretty raw with that, because, on top of that, she says that people who are passionate about it are toxic. So it's like,
it was not a good look. It was not a good look. And this is something I would say to, if I could presume to say anything to fans of this, my hope for this whole thing right now, anyway, I mean, it's wonderful that we got a film that made us all, including me, want more, like, let me see more of this, and that seemed to be the reaction from everybody. It's like, no more, please. 4 hours. It was not enough. I need more, which is brilliant. We'll
get to that in a second.
We'll get to that.
Just finish your thought. That's fine.
I don't want either the expectation of more and when are we going to hear, or the sadness about statements that have been made in the past week to dilute for a second the sweetness of the victory that these fans.
Oh yeah, this is definitely a victory,
and the result of being such a wonderful film. I hope that nobody, I hope that the joy is not tempered in any way by any of this other stuff. No,
I think that I think in general, people who have been fans and been a part of the movement, the resolve is so strong. I like when they were talking about how it leaked on HBO Max for like 2 hours, when they were talking about, it leaked on premiere night, this and that, when they talked about the whole situation with Microsoft servers where nobody could watch it when he was having the fan premiere, all those things, do
you know what was happening? You know what happened in the UK on that day? Because I was in touch with someone in the UK.
What happened?
They were told that it was on at a certain time on Sky. When they turned it on, they got a message that came up and said, "We're sorry, we can't show the content as it is right now, so we're going to show you another movie." And it was a Sarah Jessica Parker Christmas movie.
Wow. See, it's crazy, because the skeptic in me is like, all of these things cannot be coincidence.
I know. Believe me. And to me, it was so in keeping with the journey of being a fan of this movie, which is like, okay, we're in the end zone, and they move the goalposts. So you got to wait another 3 hours to see the thing. It's just, there's been so many little things that it's real hard not to put the tinfoil hat on. I refuse to put the tinfoil hat on.
I was starting. I was like, no. But when you tell me that, it's like
no. And how about Tom and Jerry?
Tom and Jerry, Microsoft's entire server crashes, so they can't show the movie to the fans when they were doing the premiere, the Monday premiere.
There's a lot of crazy things, and then also mysteriously, there's no numbers.
Oh yeah, and then they don't want to give out the numbers, which
I ain't saying anything. Anything.
It's crazy, and then they have the statement by the CEO the first business day after the weekend ends on Monday, the very first business day since the movie's been released. Boom, they hit us with it's over. It's over. We're moving on. So it's like, the skeptic in me wants to be like, they're trying to bury it. They're trying to throw salt on our game over here. Because to me, there was nothing that they could do that would make
this has been the thing that I've seen happening with a lot of the fans too, and it really, really bothers me. There'll be a reviewer or someone who will say something. In some case, I mean, I've read some horribly crass things said by some reviewers and that sort of thing. And if a fan of this sort of thing has a reaction to it, they're like, toxic.
Yeah.
You invited this
like
emotional reaction. Stop gaslighting. Quit it.
There was some guy on Twitter who it was literally like the night of, or the next day after. No, it was the day of the Snyder Cut release.
Yeah.
And this guy dropped some article on Twitter just talking about the toxic Snyder fandom.
Yes.
It's like, dude, can you give people their 5 minutes to be happy for a minute?
This has been my hue and cry from the beginning of this whole thing. Can we not just allow people to like what they like?
Yeah, just let people like what they like. It's crazy.
Is the harm in this?
It's crazy.
Now, I'm not talking about Warner Brothers in this instance. I'm talking about reviewers, other fans, people in the community, that sort of thing. Warner Brothers is making decisions based on what Warner Brothers does. I don't claim to know.
Yeah.
Do I think there's some sort of conspiracy, from WB? No, I don't. But I don't know. So I'm not.
That's where I'm at this point. At first, I was like, no.
And then
after like 4 things happen, I'm like, I don't know. Because once you go into like talking about conspiracies on it, it's like, now you're just going to take yourself down a rabbit hole.
Right. And people have been emotionally doing this for the last couple of years.
Yeah. I just want to find this
I'm going to give Warner Brothers the benefit of the doubt. And like I say, I think that as gloomy as the picture might seem right now, I think that if you give it some time, it's going to be a bit cheerier. Do I think there's going to be more of the Snyderverse? I really don't know. I really hope so.
Nobody answer that. Nobody knows the answer to that.
Grand, but who knows? Yeah. Meantime, let's celebrate this.
Let's celebrate it. Let's enjoy it.
But there has been some horrible things said to and about people during this whole sort of experience. And I'm talking about, people who post blogs, people who make comments, trolls. I mean, all of this other stuff, and it's stop it. Just stop it. Let's let people
are just searching for clicks and searching for attention.
Yeah. Just let people enjoy what they enjoy, for heaven's sakes.
So Isaiah Garcia says here, Ray, could you say this in Darkseid voice? I am many things, Kal-El, but here I am God.
Now that's scripture, isn't it? That's actual Darkseid's words.
Yeah, that's
I gotta talk about this a little bit. I know people want to hear more of the voice, and I'm really glad that
I was gonna say you probably can't just start doing.
I'm so glad that they do. I'm loath to do anything, it's what I call scripture. I'm loath to do anything that's like scripture in that way. A couple of things. I don't want to dilute any future things that would be said as Darkseid. I certainly don't want the focus to be anywhere but squarely on Zack Snyder's Justice League. So it's very tempting, and I'd love.
He would love to do it, but he can't do that. That's like
for when I say it in the movie.
Yeah.
I can.
We're fans. I know that fans are going to want to hear. We're going to always want to hear. Like, you're the only voice now that a lot of people will hear in their head when they think about Darkseid. So
maybe
they want to start hearing some of the famous lines.
Well,
I get it, but
I get it too. I'll tell you what, I do a lot of books for Audible. If you look me up on audible.com, there's a ton of audiobooks. Let's convince an audio publisher to let me do Goodnight Moon as Darkseid. And then we'll sell that and raise money for AFSP. How about that?
Hell yeah. There you go. There you go.
Who was that? That was Isaiah.
Isaiah Garcia.
I want to thank you, Isaiah, for your kind thoughts.
Ooh, how's that? There you go. There you go. That's something for you right there, Isaiah. Appreciate it.
Brock, you would have played Macduff, brother. You know what? You are not alone. You know that. Everybody in the theater community is hurting hard. Any tips for aspiring stage actors or artists in general? A few. Always be reading. I don't care what you read. Always be reading. It's so important. Read stuff that you normally wouldn't gravitate to. Find something that is outside your kind of sphere of things you like. Obviously, as much as you can speak words, if you talk, especially if you're talking about Shakespeare, as much as, because that stuff was designed to be heard, not written. That stuff was designed to be spoken, not read.
Yeah.
Much like why Zack used to like to hear his scripts rather than read them. It's a different experience. I could show you a blueprint of Westminster Cathedral, or I can take you to Westminster. Westminster Cathedral, Westminster Abbey. I could show you a beautiful drawing of a building, or I could take you in the building and you can feel what the air is like in there and smell it. So Shakespeare is designed to be spoken. You know what? If you have friends and you have Zoom, pick a play, do a play reading of a Shakespeare play, cast yourself, let somebody else cast you, whatever. Keep those words alive. As far as artists or aspiring actors or whatever, there's going to be a lot of times, especially, if you're just starting out, which I assume is true, there's going to be a lot of times where you're the only person in a 500 square mile radius that knows or cares that you're an actor. Never, ever, ever, ever let that flame die out.
Yeah.
Never, ever not be affected by what's happening in the career. Never stop having fun. Never stop geeking out about what you geek out about. Preserve the joy. There's enough in this craft that is less than pleasant. There's enough about being an actor in America in this time that isn't fun. So you look for fun wherever you can possibly find it. Never, ever give up believing. And, striving to better yourself. Learn new stuff. If you don't stay hungry. If you don't play an instrument, learn one. You never ever stop feeding your mind and exercising that particular muscle. As far as the other muscles, I'm not going to tell you to work out because Jesus, look at me. That would be like, come on.
Work that brain muscle out.
Like an Amish guy telling you to invest in tech stocks, me talking about working out. But just keep it alive. Just keep it alive and keep it fun.
Oh yeah, man. Those are great words. Great words. Great words. And I hope you wrote it down, Brock. I hope you wrote that stuff down.
You can show it to me later and I'll be like, I don't remember saying that.
Bigford Entertainment has a Canadian $6.99. He says, great show, brother. And Ray, your Darkseid was on point. Appreciate that, Bigford. Appreciate that very much.
Hello to Canada. Thank you.
Pleb Gamer Aaron G.
Omega Beans. I was on another show earlier today and we were talking about menu items, and Omega Beans and Rice was one.
Omega beans, Omega beans,
Omega beans and rice.
I was like, wait, Omega beans and rice.
Omega beans and rice. They'd have to be red beans, obviously.
Yeah, red
beans, right? And they'd have to be spicy as hell.
I love spicy food.
I don't, but I gotta say, man, Caribbean food just is my weakness. That's my kryptonite, man. You take me some coconut beans and rice, right?
Coconut beans.
Milk,
that's
some Johnny cake,
coconut rice.
Oh, some Johnny cake. That's because my family, my mother lived on an island off the coast of Belize for a number of years, and so I really got into the, jerk chicken, curry goat,
curry goat. What you know about goat meat, man? I'm Nigerian. Goat. That's what we eat.
Curry goat.
Curry goat. Yeah.
Good for what ails you.
Oh man, that's dope.
It's like. And now I gotta get into like Nigerian food and other foods from Africa, because I know Caribbean food I love, but I've not had a lot of exposure to like what would be a traditional Nigerian dish, that sort of thing.
Traditional, a lot of our dishes are rice dishes, with stew. We also have okra, a lot of okra soup, okra-based soups. We got like potato patty base, fufu. You dip it in the egusi soup. The egusi soup is like okra and okra soup mixed with like peppers and.
Man, you got my mouth watering now. A potato cake that you dip into. Oh man, come on. All right,
it's great.
That sounds.
It's funny because when I was in London, this was like 2013. I was in London. They have a Nigerian food spot, chicken spot there. That's like huge. Like people were like flooding in that place when I went. To it.
Yeah, I tell you, my first meal in England when I was living there, I was up in Watford, and they had street food going. They had and I went up to this one place, and I had what to me was the quintessential English, living in England now kind of meal. I had jerk chicken rolled up in some naan.
And naan.
Yes.
Ooh, that's a good little setup. I love naan.
It was deadly. It was so beautiful. Yeah.
That's a great setup.
I'm eating it and I'm thinking to myself, with the population of England, the population of the UK and all of that stuff, and just it was like, yeah, this should be like the English national dish, in my opinion. It's damn. Don't get me wrong, I love sausage rolls, I love pasties, to my detriment, but
when I was out there, I think the one thing, it was weird because the first time I went to London was back in like 2010, I think it was.
Mm-hmm. Did you play at Wembley?
Yeah, we played there in 2013. I played in Wembley.
I had a very disorienting day. I was in London and I got on the tube and there was all these people wearing American NFL jerseys.
Like, what is going on here?
They found me. Yeah.
It was my first meal in London.
Yeah.
I went to a restaurant and had some I think it was lunch. But I got like sick. Like it took me a couple of days to like come around to the food because it tasted different, right? And for me, what I find out is that it didn't have all of the fucking chemicals that we have in our food.
That's exactly right.
So when I ate it, I got sick because my body was like, "What is this?"
Yep,
it's real food.
First time I had beef. First time I had chicken.
First time I had beef. I had beef.
And the very first time when I was like, "This doesn't taste right," and I realized it doesn't taste. No, it doesn't taste familiar.
Yeah,
because it isn't filled with hormones and all sorts of other stuff.
Yeah.
Very strict. I mean, at least when they were in the EU, very strict regulations about that stuff. So the food is so much fresher. And conversely, having lived over there for a while, when I came back here, my first meal,
you probably got sick.
I really did. I was very, very sad.
And that's crazy because that kind of happened to me as well, because I was there for 3 weeks just on vacation.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I came back to the States and like it was hard, like smelling food here was like weird. I was like, oh, my stomach kind of hurt just smelling the food. And I think that just kind of speaks to the fact that, we really the level of food that we eat in the U.S. is there's so much food, so much consumption that they've been forced to move to, making basically just a chemical cake for you.
Well,
and and it really just works your system so much that organic food is a shock, because you're getting actual nutrients,
to go to a place, to live in a place that had pure food and free healthcare. I was ready. I was ready.
Living good.
Hey, and I was ready to defect. Also, I got to say, I lived there for a while, and so I had experiences with the NHS in England, and all that stuff you're told whenever anybody starts talking about like national healthcare. And I don't want to crack open a political can of worms. I'm just talking about medicine now. But people are like, oh, but you have to wait for such a long time. If you're poor in America, you also wait for a long time for treatment.
Yeah,
just saying.
True. That's true.
You probably wait longer. And it's more expensive because you've done more damage by not having it seen to.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I noticed, at least when I was there, it's free, and I felt I had better and more interactive care from the doctors under the NHS than I ever have here. I've had doctor's appointments here where the guy actually never looked up from his clipboard.
Looked at you. Yeah.
Hey, how are you? Okay, so what's going on today? Okay, I'm going to prescribe this. Okay, see you later. Roll, sponsors' names on pens and everything like that. You go over there, and I sat and talked with this guy for a half hour over nothing. It's like a cold, but he wanted to know everything. To me, that's good care. So, and I can't say enough about.
No, I hear you. I hear you, man.
I loved it.
The luxuries we think we have here, we have no idea.
Yeah, there's some issues. There's definitely.
The healthcare system. Look, I'm licensed in healthcare insurance in 8 states.
Wow!
And so I actually have a working knowledge of how the actual system works.
Oh, you do?
And
okay.
It's not an efficient system for the amount that it can cost a family. Should they not have coverage? Should they not have, coverage that's sufficient enough to take care of them and their family? So I understand how that stuff works. There's things that need to be adjusted, and it boils down to working with the doctors to fix the system rather than the insurance companies.
Well, I do think in this country there's quite a few things that have come to light over the last few years that definitely bear examination, and in some cases bear review and even overhaul. I'm not talking about laser beaming the entire damn thing, but there's some things that have been status quo for a long time in this country that we need to really sensibly look at.
Yeah, we should always just look to improve. Whatever. It doesn't matter
how can we do this.
It doesn't matter how we necessarily go about it. It just matters that we go about it in a way that improves quality of life for everybody. I think that's a good spot to leave that. But
yeah, we're going to leave all that. Jail the exalted Ray Porter. I don't want to
hail. I'm pretty sure he means hail. RC from NYC. What's up, Uche? All hail the exalted Ray Porter. What's up, chat? May I say, Ray Porter reading The Art of War would set audiobook records worldwide.
Look me up on Audible. I did narrate The Art of War.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
I'm gonna go get that tonight, because I've read that book some years ago.
Yeah, and it's myself and another narrator who did the
audiobooks. Have been like my thing in the last couple years.
I'll tell you, they have exploded over the last few years. I know my volume of work has definitely stepped up. It's become a real tangible thing, and people seem to like it. I'm very glad.
I feel like you get the book. You're getting the book.
You do.
You're getting but you're getting it with you're getting it actually kind of helps you paint a picture to hear it spoken. I agree in that respect. Hearing somebody read something to you allows you to paint the picture better than necessarily reading through it yourself and trying to paint that picture.
Yeah, there used to be a weird kind of schism, and there still rears its ugly head every once in a while. People are like, audiobooks isn't reading. I was like, well,
sure it is.
Yeah, it is. It's not, this old 50s elementary school, write in cursive, Palmer method,
Oh,
show your
man.
work. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, come on, we're adults. You know,
Yeah,
you're taking in this content, you're getting it, you're getting the message the author was trying to send to you.
Yeah.
So yeah, you did read the book if you listen to the audio book. Yeah, I don't have a lot of time for that. And I love that people enjoy it. I mean, I've gotten messages from people like, hey man, I have to do this like 6-hour drive every week.
That's
And
what
you
I'm
really
saying.
help,
Yeah.
you know, and it's that kind of stuff where I feel like I'm actually my silly ass job sitting in this blanket fort actually does make a difference, you know, and I'm very proud of that. So
no, it does, dude. Like I've taken like 10-hour drives,
right,
and I listened to like an entire Star Wars audiobook on one of the extended universe stories that I like.
Yeah.
So and it makes the ride go by so much smoother. Like
I used to make the run between LA and Ashland, Oregon, and that's a good at least 9 hours, oftentimes 12. And I did the same thing. I'd, pop in like a Tom Clancy or something, some horror book or something like that. And you just, you're able to do the journey a lot easier. It feels, you're like, wow, a little like Justice League. It's like, that was 4 hours. What?
Yeah, that's exactly
great.
What it was. Like I would be on a 10-hour trek, and I'd be having, I have an audiobook ready to go, and you relax and you just listen to it as you're driving. I mean, it's definitely the way to go when you got a long move.
I think for a long drive, I highly recommend it. I mean, because the alternative is, you can listen to, that one song by Supertramp for the 15th time on your journey, getting played on the radio, or get into some places where there's only one radio station, because the power of scripture. And it's like, if you want to listen to that, that's fantastic. If your tastes run someplace else and you got nothing to listen to,
the audiobook is perfect.
Audiobooks are very helpful for that. Yes.
Hell yeah. We got Pleb Gamer Aaron G again. Another
tea was UK's national dish. No, tea is there are rituals about tea. There's rules about tea, and they get real pissed off if you mess with them. No, there's a way. There is a way to make a proper cuppa, and there's a way to get it wrong. And I never tried to make tea for anyone.
I would never try to.
No,
I would never try to.
But I got to say, a good cup of tea, there's nothing like it.
No, I hear you, man. I hear you. Well, everybody, I think it's a good spot for
everything.
Yeah, we covered everything. We've gone from theater to Darkseid to
football
to comic books.
Organic food, healthcare,
health. Yeah, we've covered the spectrum.
We're down to tea. What haven't we covered?
We finished up with tea.
We did it all.
We did it all, man. Ray, man, it's such a great honor to have you on, dude.
Thank you so much.
I really do appreciate it very much.
Thank you so much. Really nice.
You're a very gracious guy, and I can appreciate that, dude. Like
thank you.
It's really nice to have somebody come on and really just speak from the heart. Like I don't really structure talking to people on my live streams.
That's why I like your show.
Way. I just want to talk. Like we'll talk. We'll figure out where we're going. We'll figure out where we're going to. Yeah. But no, man, anytime, dude. Like
what a pleasure, man. And you've got a good channel going here, man. I like your stuff.
Thank you, man.
I've watched your videos. So
thank you.
I'm grateful to be on it, and thank you for having me. And it's been good.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. Everybody in the chat, if you do you have any kind of official site for audio for audio?
No, I don't. But if you go to audible.com,
Audible,
or audible.co.uk, for those of you in the British Isles, and just under the search bar, just type in my name, and it'll give you a list, and you can go new releases or whatever, and you'll have a full list.
Make sure you do that too. Make sure everybody in the chat goes and checks out Ray Porter on Audible. I'm gonna do that here once I get off, because if you did that Art of War, I got to go listen to that.
Check that out. There's some damn good sci-fi in there too that I think you might like.
Oh man, sci-fi. Yeah. Okay. You got me. All right. Well, everybody, we appreciate you for being on here with us. Make sure you smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure you can, consider subscribing. If you're a subscribed member, or if you're a subscribed person, maybe you should consider being a part of the member program. We got tiers for the membership. This stream is going to go onto the members only section playlist on my channel once we get done here, and then I'll be clipping some parts out and putting it out on the YouTube channel as regular. But we got one more super chat here. 499. Yes. Justin Norris says, "I love the Spider-Verse."
All right, Justin. I was just about to recommend that. Yes, check out the first book. Is We Are Legion, We Are Bob.
Oh hell yeah, dude! I've got to check it out. See, now you've got me a little.
I'm just going to leave you with that. But it's
got me hyped up now.
It's a series of books, and yeah, you should check it out.
Hell yeah, man. Will do.
Yeah.
Everybody, please give our man here, Ray Porter, a virtual round of applause.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys very much for being here on the podcast or on the live stream. We'll definitely have him back on sometime again whenever he wants to come on. Yeah, I feel like we're homies now. I feel like I can.
That's right.
I can just hit him up and be like, "Hey, man, come hang out."
End up doing 6 hours with super chats going, "Stop talking about that. I'm bored." Yeah.
No, man, it was awesome, dude. Once again, appreciate it. All right, everybody, we're gonna hop off of here. Appreciate you guys very much. We will catch you on the next one. Everybody have a wonderful night. Peace.
Bye.